Hey guys, it's Jouelzy, and today is Veda day 4, and I have been sick, so much anxiety thinking about even doing this video, but so many people have asked me to talk about it, and it's so complicated and it's so complex, but I feel like it's a disservice for me to stay quiet out of the case of the police murdering Korryn Gaines. State the facts that I do know about the case. Korryn Gaines, I believe was 22 or 23, resided in Baltimore County. The Baltimore County Police were attempting to service her and her boyfriend a warrant. I believe she had a warrant for non-appearance in court due to traffic violations. And then he had a warrant for a domestic violence dispute that they had previously had before her 5-year-old child who was with her was also shot by the police, though he has non-life-threatening injuries. And the boyfriend was able to get out of the apartment with their daughter and was not injured, though he was later arrested by the police. For me, a very complicated and sits at kind of the peak of the difficulties and the intersectionality of being a Black and being a woman. I personally want to be very careful about the narrative that I push forward or how I even view Korryn, because there's just so much information constantly changing and coming out about this, and I don't necessarily trust anything that I've heard from either side, and that I have not been able to find a statement or interview from her intimate family members, not her boyfriend or her parents. The police has already kind of flip-flopped on how they're approaching this, and they always are going to spin it so that they come out in the best light possible. But I also want to be careful that I hold true to my belief that I cannot change or advocate for the change in the behavior of the oppressed without first and more heartedly advocating for the change of the behavior in the oppressor. I definitely appreciate those who have the clarity and passion to be committed, standing firmly in advocating and defending the Black community, the poor Black community, and the disenfranchised communities within that community, in that of the LGBTQ, women, the trans community, those who are so firmly connected in allowing them to have the same privilege of being seen as human that white men get. So folks like Sana Baldwin and the Crunk Feminist Collective, I wholeheartedly appreciate, because even when I don't agree with them, it makes me check where and why I stand in the position that I do. Like, how did I get here? What is my objective in my belief? And it makes me a more considerate person, because my knee-jerk reaction in this is to critique the aggressiveness that I've seen displayed in videos posted by Korryn. But I also understand that the police can walk into a movie theater after a man has killed 20 plus people and take him out alive and uninjured, that a white man can walk into a church and shoot up a Bible study, be armed in his own home, and somehow the police go in and take him and he has Burger King after. Set off a hostage situation that lasts for over a month with the police. But I also understand that the way whiteness works does not cross over to Blackness, and that in that everything that's happening right now is not new. The technology is new. Our way of gaining access to information is new. The fact that it can be live streamed and posted on social media. But this sort of aggression and violence precipitating from the civilian side is not new, and is par for the course in seeing some sort of sincere cultural shift or change happen. We want to think that these are new and that the way we are dealing with it is entirely wrong, but all these functions and criticisms and conversations have happened before with each movement, with each time this has reoccurred throughout history. We just didn't have Facebook comments. We didn't have Twitter to amplify the voices of everyone. The way information spreaded was not as fluid. Ta-Nehisi Coates, a few weeks ago, wrote an article for The Atlantic about how there was an almost guarantee that we were going to see more anti-police violence post the Dallas shooting. Because again, this is absolutely history repeating itself. And as much as I could be capable of critiquing the systems, not even just the behavior of Korryn Gaines, but the systems that have encouraged her to arm herself, the systems that encouraged her to not put tags on her car and instead put a cardboard sign that kind of alluded to some legal terms that don't really exist, kind of ahistorical content that so fluidly floats throughout the Black community. Talk about how dangerous that is and how much that leads us to nowhere. I would be remiss to talk about that and not focus on the systems that embolden police to use the policing of the poor to fund cities, to treat white men with a sort of care and compassion for livelihood, and not give that same understanding to black folks? How do I advocate for us not feeding into violence, but not speak to the violence that is constantly committed and on display by the police, especially when their only response to saying how they're doing better is to stage viral videos handing black women ice cream cones after pulling them over in their car, and seeing this black woman being poignantly scared of being pulled over by the police, or the constant pictures I'm flooded with of white policemen hugging black children or giving them toys, as if this fixes the policy and the systems that have upheld this sort of wanton discrimination against poor black communities. It don't work like that. I don't feel my opinions on this are 100% right. It doesn't mean that I'm encouraging anybody to aggress the police. That doesn't mean that I don't believe that police have a certain function and benefit towards our community. But that does mean that I do understand that many of the criminal laws that are in place came about to keep the Negro in check. The whole idea of a government-sanctioned police force came out of the emancipation of slaves. It just continues to precipitate this sort of aggression and violence from all sides. I do believe that there is a sort of symbiotic relationship between gun laws and our current interpretation of the Second Amendment, which came from a Bill of Rights written in 1791, to the militarization of the police. Even though I do understand that the police reformed in order to reform and keep in check the Negro, their evolution has also built upon that foundation as a response to the arming of civilians and the dangers that come with that. I don't believe there will be any sort of beneficial demilitarization of the police without changing gun laws in America. We're left with all these different components that can be discussed, right? There are not enough functioning laws that protect the poor, that govern the police forces, and we just get into so many complexities that kind of topple upon each other. In this situation, who really loses in the end? Korryn's children. Like, any way you look at it, her kids lose. And it is unfair to squarely lay that blame on her and not talk about all these systems and things that topple upon that. I haven't even touched on the idea of her dealing with mental health issues. Namely, I don't have a whole lot to say about that because, again, her intimate and close family and the man that lived with her, was raising a child with her, or her parents, who she spoke highly of, have not made statements or given interviews that, really can speak to what that might have been. Because to me, I don't necessarily see a mentally ill woman. I see a woman who has been fed the same sort of ahistorical content that I'm often battling with you guys in the comment section about, that I see so prevalent amongst black men, amongst educated, I know very sane black men who I am friends with in real life. I would then be saying that just about the entire Hotep collective is mentally ill. But I understand why people are prone to give her that title, because that privilege is so often given to white men. Oh, he was so nice, but he's dealing with a mental illness. That's why he went into a movie theater and shot and killed 20 people. Oh, but his mental illness led him to walk into a Bible study at a historic black church and gun down 7-8 people. Like, they get the privilege of hiding under the cloak of mental health. Why can't we give that same privilege of a narrative to black folk? It is this sort of quagmire that we are existing in. No, I do not think society is getting worse. I feel like in the immediacy, yes, things are going to get worse, but there will be, hopefully, as long as we continue to work through these uncomfortable and complex situations, there will be long-term beneficial changes that happen, because we'll be forced to actually look at the systems that are creating this sort of environment and change the policies that allow these things to flourish. It has to happen from the top down. You're not going to change the behavior of the oppressed, and I think that that's going to change the behavior of the oppressor. And so, in all this kind of circular discussion that I'm having, because I don't have any right answer about this, I can only stand firm in my integrity and my beliefs and continue to carry on this dialogue and be open to hearing the discord from others in my community who have maybe a more passionate stance on this, and continuing to check myself on this. Change is not comfortable. There will be a lot of dissenting opinions on this, and I really don't even know how to end this because I feel like there's so much more to be said, but I'm going to wait because I know more information will come out as the time goes, and maybe we have a whole month of August where I'm doing Veda. I will have more info on this. But if you want to hear more, if you like these discussions, you like these Veda videos, do thumbs up. It helps. Comment down below. Be respectful of others. I know a lot of people are going to have different opinions on this. Let's not get into a cat fight over it. And thank you for being an awesome, smart girl. Continue to support the movement. See you tomorrow. Join the Smart Brown Girl Producer Circle. For $2 to $5 or more, you can support Smart Brown Girl. Visit patreon.com/Jouelzy and become a Smart Brown Girl patron today.